Walmart insiders sell. Let's talk about this. Educational purposes, of course. There's an enormous amount of selling. The Walton family, you can see all of these entries in the past month. 51 million, 131 million, 61 million, no one buying, just selling. And that number pretty much again and again, 72 million, 130 million, 97 million, right? So billions getting close to there just in the past month of the Walton family, who own major amounts of the stock, selling it. And so is this kind of the signal that, yes, Walmart has reached a peak, the people who really know the company are getting out? Well, at first that's what it seems like. And you can see lots of articles, oh, warning, warning. Except, once again, when you're looking at the Form 4, and it's important to actually go in and look at these things. Because when you just looked at those numbers, they all seem random and enormous amount. And yet when you look at the Form 4, you can see all of these numbers here. And if we just switch to the next Form 4, this is for Walton Robson. I don't know how to pronounce that. If we switch to the next one, it's the exact same numbers. And same with Alice Walton, right? So all of these people, well, these three people, are pretty much all of their shares are being sold in specific allotments and the same allotment, and it's by a trust. And so there's the strong possibility that simply one of the people in this trust or the trust itself decides to sell. There's just some kind of routine system and schedule. So this is not necessarily alarming. So let's just take a look at kind of a graph or a bar chart of what's been happening in the past. Now here, you can kind of see something that will kind of trigger some alarms. That's just nonstop selling for the past 5 years, right? December 2016 to, now we're in December 2021. So what is going on exactly? So if you look at the first area over here, compared to the end, not so much selling, getting a little bit clustered, but still not an enormous amount, but kind of a regular amount from the previous year. Same thing, a little bit different timing, but generally maybe a little bit less. And then here, it's kind of staggered regularly throughout the year, and near the end of the year, just an enormous amount of selling, probably the same as before, but maybe even more. And then I think over here in the last year, we're seeing even more selling. That's what I'm seeing anyway. Now, part of this is probably going to have to do with the values of the stock. And, I don't remember exactly what we're talking about here. I don't know if they're charting the actual stock here or the value of the stock. But the point that I see is that there's just regular selling throughout the past 5 years by the Walton family. I don't think it means that they want to get rid of their stock, right? They own an enormous, enormous amount of Walmart. They just can get rid of it and spend it. And, they are an extremely wealthy family is pretty much what I'm getting to here. And so them selling huge amounts of money worth of stock, to you and I seems ridiculous. And yet to them, they have just presumably boatloads of it. And so if you're looking at the actual stock chart here for the past 5 years, you can see it's routinely going up and they're still selling, right? They were selling 5 years ago. You say, oh, you should hold on to it. No, they have so much money that I guess they can just do this type of thing. Now, interestingly enough, when you do look at some of the prime times when they're selling, so at the end of 2020 over here, it says 2021, that's just the beginning of the year, on this chart. So you can see they sold an enormous amount and it came down after that. And same thing in the middle of 2021, when they were selling. I think this is around August, September. It fell down after that. And yet, when they sold in June and all the other parts of the year, it didn't necessarily fall down, not that much, and it just kept on going up. So what's the long story short here is the insiders who are selling all of their stock, they have an enormous amount of stock. They obviously want the money. Even if the stock's going up, they'll just make more money and sell it, the rest of their treasure trove later on. But so to me, it's really not an indicator. I think the only indicator that maybe you could somehow use is that the stock will take a little bit of a tumble because they're putting so much stock on the market afterwards. Except at the same time, that will probably have happened by the time you get to see the the SEC file. So there's not much you can do with the Form 4 with these people filing. They're just selling stock. Nothing seems to me outlandish. My concern right now is still the problem with wages. And I think that's what you really have to focus on with Walmart. Once again, education purposes only. Please let me know if you like these videos. Comment, like, subscribe really helps the algorithm. I appreciate that for all the hard work. Nevertheless, what I want to get back to is this wage increase, right? So half the company, right? You can look back at the other video. Their income dropped significantly. Their profit dropped significantly when they gave half the company the $15 minimum wage. Now, I'm sure a lot of that half probably have more than $15 already. So what's going to happen when the country institutes, right, the US institutes a minimum $15? Well, that's the question you have to ask yourself. Is Biden, for example, with these Build Back Better plans not going through, with the Green New Deal having trouble, with all these things having trouble, is he going to come back to previous commitments like the $15 minimum wage? Is that going to be the new thing that people go after? Well, on one hand, Walmart tried to evade the problem by saying, yeah, we're giving half our company a $15 minimum wage. Not the entire half, but half of it. And probably the half who doesn't, maybe not. I'm sure some of them people gained from it, but who knows if, it was only a quarter or at 10% of those people who gained. So the question is Walmart saying, yeah, we're doing this. Well, on one hand, that takes the pressure off of them because, hey, they're doing it. On the other hand, it says, well, they're already doing it for half their company. Let's just do it for the other half. What's the big deal? Right? That's a very easy argument that someone in Congress, and how you going to fight about that, right? Like, how is Walmart going to say, oh no, we make billions of dollars. We want to have 21 billion versus 15 billion. Well, if you're an investor in a company, right, that's obviously important. Uh, and I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm just trying to explain that this could take a serious hit on their income. And that to me is the biggest issue that Walmart's having. And so they're going to have to move towards automation, getting rid of these really low value jobs, right? If they're not providing value to the company, so then you have to replace them with robots, or you have to get these cashiers to somehow provide more value so that you can pay them more. That's also a possibility, right? Nevertheless, Walmart obviously does not see them as valuable. That's whether they're right or wrong, right? That's not the question. But they don't see them as valuable and they're not willing to pay them that money. So at the end of the day, they either have to get rid of them or they have to hope things stay the same. And I just can't imagine things staying the same, especially with inflation going up. I think the $15 minimum wage, ironically, that's one of those things that could cause inflation to go up. And yet, I think it's one of those things that when inflation goes up, people will push for the $15 minimum wage even more because the people who, are the cashiers who are not getting that raise, right? Their life is going to be substantially harder with inflation than compared to someone who's middle income. So, that's kind of my perspective. I think that Walmart, I think it's a great company. I think they're going to grow, but if they don't pivot soon and start getting rid of employees that are going to need that $15 minimum wage in a big way, right? They're going to have to make a choice and they're going to make a difficult choice, and that is losing profit or losing the employees and replacing them automatically, right? That's the choice. What would you do? What would your perspective be? Do you want to help those people? In theory, you want to bring them up in the company and get them paid more. But there's people like you saw in their last video who are working there 11 years, still making $11, right? With that type of person, there's no option to pay them $11 anymore, right? They have kids. That's not a feasible option. Another feasible option would be to hire youth, kids, things like that, who can get paid very little money. They're staying at home. But that's not what Walmart is filled with. When you go to the cashier, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but nevertheless, those are my thoughts. I think Walmart is in for a little bit of a rough ride in the future. They're obviously a great company in general, though. Just I see this one major problem that they have in terms of wages being a really, really difficult issue for them. And how are they going to pivot? And I think it's the only way is automation. And so that's what you have to keep your eye on with Walmart. Are they automating? I've seen, the self checkouts. Is that becoming more of a thing? Keep your eye on that. Communicate with other people. Maybe ask people at Walmart. If you're investing in this company, you have to do a little bit of the legwork and really think about those issues. And when I see that really coming to the forefront, where I remember them trying to roll out you scan your own things as you go shopping, right? That's a good idea. I don't think it really panned out. I didn't really like it. I didn't think it worked well personally. But if you can, walk into Walmart and walk out, with RFID tags and you're automatically checked out and you don't even have to go through self checkout, those types of technology, that would be a game changer for Walmart. So that's the type of thing you can keep your eye out or your ear to the ground. And when you hear those developments, when you see them actually in practice, when you see that they work, right, then you can know that they really have a positive plan that will really go forward in automation. And then I would feel more comfortable investing in them. Right now, to me, the inflation might be beneficial to Walmart, right? People coming to the cheaper store, and also they're going to benefit from getting more revenue with inflation because what they sell will go up with inflation for the most part, especially groceries, things like that. So they're going to be a little bit protected from inflation. So on one hand, that is a positive, but I just think the inflation will hurt their wage, will force them to bring up the wages maybe to $15, $12.50, whatever it is. That's going to be a major impact. Okay, anyway, those are my thoughts. I've rambled a little bit. Please let me know what you think. What's the biggest problem for Walmart? Do you think it's an issue? Do you think they're going to go forward? Thanks so much for watching.